Okay. I think that I want to read about this story up next. Hopefully there's no ad or like it's not gated or whatever. Um, After this though, I'm just gonna scroll through X for a little bit and then probably call it. But I don't know. Uh this title caught my eye. You know, I love a good opinion piece from The Hill. The Hill, very much a like Republican coded newspaper, but yeah, it can usually be fun. And I'm curious now. I'm curious after all of this time. Uh, the article title is "Don't Let the Cradle of Christianity Become Its Graveyard." I'm curious if they're finally against all of the wars that are happening all around, the biblical homeland of Jesus or whatever. I'm wondering if they're a little bit tired of all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this article real quick. It doesn't look too long. So this is "Don't Let the Cradle of Christianity Become Its Graveyard" by Frank R. Wolf. Okay. At 87 years old, after decades in the halls of Congress, I have learned that history does not merely repeat itself, it warns us. Yeah, no shit. In 1985, I stood in Romania as Nicolae Ceausescu bulldozed churches. In the 1990s, I fought to lift the arms embargo so Bosnian Muslims could defend themselves against ethnic cleansing. I visited and advocated for Christians and Yazidis who were being persecuted and displaced in Iraq. I have slipped into Tibet to witness the silent suffering of Buddhists, and I met with Catholics and house church leaders in China and met with Premier Li Peng to seek the release by name of the many wrongly imprisoned under his hand of tyranny. It sounds like you've been pretty busy. um, I guess looking for marginalized groups everywhere that he can. Sometimes I get a little bit, you know, meeting with Catholics and house church leaders in China. Like, I think we really, uh, I don't think China persecutes like religion that much, is my understanding. But um, who knows? I've never actually been there, so. One of my last speeches in Congress was a warning about the growing anti-Semitism on American campuses. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Woo, woo. Anti-Israel is anti-Semitism alert. A sentiment that has exploded into our consciousness over the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean, anti-Semitism has blown up, but it hasn't been on the left. I will assure you that. We'll see. We'll see. If he's really talking about those pro-Palestine encampments, like, yeah, that was not anti-Semitism. That was anti-genocide. In 1998, I was proud to lead the charge for the International Religious Freedom Act. I believed then, as I do now, that the right to worship is the foundational pulse of a free society. But today, that pulse is weakening in Syria. Oh, God. Okay. I really have no idea where he's going with this because Syria, I'm assuming most people are aware, but like Syria was kind of propped up to some extent. The previous Syrian government was propped up by Russia, I think, as a counterbalance to America in the region. During the whole like because of Russia being a little overextended, that ended up collapsing. So uh, now you essentially have a new government that's trying to align with America, but Israel is also like stealing their territory and land as they're wont to do. So um, and I don't think they really have the capability to fight back against it right now because they kind of lost that support from Russia, or at least some of the groups that were in charge before did. But anyway, let's see what else he has to say. Syria is the cradle of Christianity. It is the land where the Apostle Paul was blinded by light on the road to Damascus. Yet today, the ancient communities of Christians, Druze, Alawites, Yazidis, and Kurds are facing a surge of violence, including killings and displacements. I wonder by who. Who are they going to think it is? I'm curious. Christians are fleeing. Yeah, and this is clearly going to be this dude is very, very religious, apparently. If he's peppering in these, like, these little Bible stories or whatever, but Christians are fleeing Syria to the point where their ancient communities may disappear, and it's just released 2026 annual report. The bipartisan U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has recommended Syria as a country of particular concern, a designation reserved for the most egregious violators of religious freedom. I maybe I don't know. The current instability under the leader of Ahmed al-Sharaa is not merely a regional hiccup; it is a global security fuse. As president, al-Sharaa brings a pedigree of association with Al Qaeda. That's right, he's the Al Qaeda guy that we installed as the leader of Syria. Um, a history that cannot be ignored. Oh, trust me, we will ignore it. We love ignoring people's Al Qaeda ties. It's one of our favorite things, or ISIS ties, or whatever. If it's beneficial to the current goals of the administration, we will always ignore it. Um, it's like it's how we like gave Osama bin Laden all those weapons to use against Iran, and then he became our enemy number one in the future. You know, we have a very short memory in America. His apparent lack of control over his own forces has turned Syria into a vacuum of unaccountability where minority groups are the primary victims. The numbers should haunt us. U.S. intelligence officials estimate that 15,000 to 20,000 former ISIS fighters were recently released or escaped from Syrian prisons, while some have been moved to Iraq temporarily for later possible return to their more than 67 countries of origin, many remain unaccounted for. As someone who represented constituents killed in the 9/11 attack on the Pentagon, I see the shadows of the past lengthening. If we allow Syria to become a playground for reorganized terror cells, we aren't just abandoning religious minorities, we could be inviting the next 9/11 to our shores. Yeah, no shit, our adventurism always does this. You know what would help, though? You know, it would probably help this situation if Israel wasn't like in the process of like stealing Syrian territory as we speak, and also like destabilizing the entire region, and also causing us to go to war with Iran. Which, by the way, yeah, okay, maybe there'll be some sort of new terror cell like from Syria or whatever, but like we're in the process of literally destabilizing Iran that's going to create the like most insane version of ISIS that like anyone could ever imagine. Um, but yeah, the United States cannot afford to be a passive observer of its own interests. We need a strategy of presence and pressure. I propose four immediate steps for the 119th Congress. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy, I can't wait to hear them. I also, I also, does this guy not know that like Congress doesn't do anything anymore? The Congress has this one bill a year, and it's like the appropriations or whatever. It's like the main funding bill, and that's like the only thing that they pass. Like, I don't think they're gonna pass anything here, dude. You have better luck asking for some executive orders from Big Daddy Donald if you wanna get anything to happen. But let's see what his four brilliant ideas for stabilizing Syria and preventing the Christian genocide or whatever he thinks is happening right now. Um, First, we can establish a Syria study group modeled after the bipartisan Baker-Hamilton Commission that helped to navigate the Iraq War. We need a panel of experts to provide a clear-eyed assessment of the al-Sharaa regime and our policy options. Okay. Wasn't he the one we installed there? Like, isn't he our guy? Like, I thought he didn't he come to the Oval Office? I thought like he's our guy, I thought. So I don't know why you're upset. Um, we also need direct congressional engagement. It is not enough to read sanitized intelligence briefings. Members of Congress must go to the region. Okay, dude. There's only one country in the Middle East that Congress ever goes to, and that is Israel. The other countries are just uh, they're just before Israel's. They're pre-Israel. Someday they will become Israel, and when they become Israel, then our Congress members will go there once Israel conquers all of them, or whatever the fuck their goals are. But that's silly. That's very silly. They must meet with Al-Sharaa, but more importantly, they must meet with the minority leaders who have been denied a voice. Like, I wonder what his thoughts are on how it was before, or like how Syria, you know, like before before we toppled whatever his name was who was leading it before. But additionally, Congress should establish a bipartisan Syrian caucus. Syria's stability is not a partisan issue. We need a dedicated caucus to monitor these events daily, ensuring that the plight of the persecuted remains on the front burner of the State Department. Uh, that's too much work for them, man. They're lazy. And finally, there should be more diaspora advocacy. To my fellow citizens in the Syrian diaspora, your voice is the most potent tool in Washington. Yeah, they love expats over in Washington. So, I mean, for real, like they will probably listen to you. Um, a Capitol Hill Day is essential to remind lawmakers that their constituents care about the fate of the Middle East. As a follower of Jesus, I am called to advocate for the least of these. Okay. And as a former lawmaker, I know that justice and national security are two sides of the same coin. If we fail to act, the end of Christianity and its cradle will be the preamble to a new era of global instability. We have the tools, we have the history, now we must find the will. I think you're going to be looking for that will for a while because I got news for you. There's a certain country over in the Middle East that is not too fond of Christians, okay? Uh, and it's not like it's not Palestine, it's not the West Bank. They lived in harmony with Christians for a long time, but there's a certain country over there that rhymes with schmizmeal that I think might have a problem with all this Christian shit over there. But okay, well that was I guess an interesting article. I don't know this guy, but I think he's going to be waiting a while. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.